The moment, "Are you sure?" Season 2 Inch was announced, the internet trembled. It wasn't just another reality series, it was their show. Jimin and Jungkook. The duo whose every glance had once sparked essays, whose silence screamed louder than words, whose shared energy could fill a room even when they said nothing at all. And now they were coming back. Together. It had been years since the first season, years of distance, of military duties, of solo projects and quiet nights filled with unanswered questions. Fans had long wondered, would they ever share that easy laughter again? That quiet comfort that once defined them? "Are you sure?" had been one of those rare windows into who they were behind the curtain, not as idols, but as two people whose connection seemed to run deeper than friendship, deeper than reason itself. And then came the trailer. It was barely a minute long, but that was all it took. The frame opened with Jimin's voice, soft, teasing, familiar. "Are you sure you can handle this again?" he said with that mischievous smile. The camera cut to Jungkook, his hair longer now, his grin shy but knowing. "I was born ready," he replied, his tone warm, grounded, almost tender. The fandom lost its mind. "Are you sure?" Season 2 trended worldwide within minutes. The clips spread like wildfire, tiny snippets of them laughing, playfully bickering, cooking together, staring just a little too long when they thought the camera wasn't watching. The world hadn't even seen the full episode yet, but already the air felt different, charged, alive, electric. And somewhere out there haters began to sweat. Because here's the truth. You can fake performance, but you can't fake ease. You can't script the way Jungkook unconsciously mirrors Jimin's gestures, or how Jimin's eyes soften the moment Jungkook laughs. That kind of rhythm doesn't come from rehearsals. It comes from history. It's the kind of comfort that's born from years of knowing someone inside out. Knowing how they think, how they move when they need silence and when they need someone to simply be there. The first episode dropped on a quiet Friday night. The moment the intro rolled, everything else on social media froze. 2 men, 1 car, 1 journey, again. Jimin sat in the passenger seat looking out the window, the sun glowing against his skin. Jungkook adjusted the rearview mirror, his focus shifting briefly to Jimin. "You look different," he said. "Do I?" Jimin replied, smiling faintly. "Maybe you just missed me too long." For a second Jungkook didn't answer, he just smiled, eyes glinting in that way that always made people pause the video. It wasn't the words. It was the space between them. That invisible tension, not awkward, not forced, but heavy with unspoken familiarity. They didn't need to act. The chemistry was simply there, flowing as naturally as breath. And that's what drove the haters crazy. Because no matter how loud they tried to be, how desperately they tried to dismiss it as fan service or editing tricks, the reality was too raw, too unscripted. You can't stage how someone's whole expression softens when they're next to a person who makes them feel safe. You can't fabricate the way Jungkook leans closer without realizing it, or how Jimin instinctively reaches out, brushing away a crumb, fixing his sleeve, touching his hair as if it's second nature. Fans didn't need subtitles to understand. They'd seen this before, in the smallest gestures, the quietest corners of countless behind-the-scenes clips. The "Are You Sure?" project wasn't just nostalgia, it was a continuation. Season 2 wasn't about travel. It was about reunion. There was a moment, one that the internet would replay endlessly. They were sitting by the sea, cameras forgotten for a while. Jungkook was holding a biscuit, simple, plain, slightly crumbled. "Do you still like these?" he asked. Jimin laughed softly. "Of course. Some things never change." And Jungkook just looked at him, really looked. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Some things never do." It was small, barely 2 sentences. But it felt like a lifetime in disguise. That single exchange became a symbol. Fans called it the biscuit moment. Memes, theories and essays flooded the web. People analyzed the tone, the pause, the smile. But deep down it wasn't about the biscuit at all. It was about everything that had stayed unspoken over the years. The bond that remained despite distance, rumors and silence. Biscuit, fans wrote, is just another word for destiny. And perhaps they were right. As the season went on, the dynamic only deepened. There were jokes that felt like secrets, silences that felt like confessions. Jimin's laughter often came softer when Jungkook was the one who made him laugh. Jungkook's eyes followed Jimin not because of direction, but because they always had. In one episode they got lost driving to a filming location. The GPS failed, and for nearly an hour they just talked about their trainee days, about what had changed, about what hadn't. There was a quiet comfort there, the kind that comes from surviving storms together. "Sometimes I think we've both grown," Jimin said softly. "We did," Jungkook replied. "But we didn't grow apart." And that line, that one simple truth, echoed through every corner of the fandom. Because no matter how hard the world tried to separate them, to paint their bond as nothing more than a phase or performance, the connection remained unshaken. The haters, of course, tried to twist it. They said it was all scripted. They said the editing was manipulative. But what they couldn't explain was the authenticity, the way both of them seemed freer together, lighter. The laughter wasn't rehearsed, it was reflex. The comfort wasn't a storyline, it was history. ARMY watched not just because it was entertaining but because it felt real. It reminded them of what BTS always stood for: sincerity, trust, and love in all its forms. By the time the season reached its finale, the fandom wasn't just watching a show, they were witnessing something sacred. A friendship, or perhaps something deeper, that had survived time, fame, distance, and scrutiny. When the final episode faded out, Jimin turned to Jungkook and said, "So, are you sure this is the end?" Jungkook chuckled, shaking his head. "I'm never sure when it comes to you." Silence. Then a laugh. And then the screen faded to black. The credits rolled over a quiet acoustic version of "Still With You," and the world went silent for a moment. Because somehow that one line, "I'm never sure when it comes to you," carried everything. Affection, confusion, loyalty, and the lingering echo of something that refuses to fade. Social media exploded again, of course. "Are you sure?" Season 2 finale trended for days. Clips of Jimin and Jungkook's interactions flooded TikTok, YouTube, X. The comments were filled with words like real, genuine, undeniable. And while fans celebrated, haters burned. Because it was no longer about speculation or labels. It was about connection. About something so strong that it transcended narratives and online noise. The more Jimin and Jungkook laughed together, the more haters tried to invalidate it. But love, in whatever form it exists, doesn't ask for permission. It simply is. The Biscuit Destiny, as fans called it, became a legend. A symbol of resilience. A reminder that what's real doesn't need to shout. It simply keeps showing up quietly, consistently, like the way Jungkook always finds Jimin in a crowd, or how Jimin always looks for Jungkook before saying goodbye. In the end, are you sure? Season 2 wasn't just a show. It was a mirror. It reflected what the world often forgets, that bonds built on trust and care are unbreakable. And somewhere behind all the laughter, the teasing, the lingering glances, there was a truth neither of them needed to say out loud. Because they already knew. As they always have. Because even when the cameras stop rolling, some stories don't end, they just find new ways to begin again.